it's time for another review. This time, we're reviewing the Pelican case, 1085 case, and what's inside. Wait and find out. All right, so I have been looking all over the place to protect a wonderful investment that I had purchased to help keep track of all my running adventures that I do, trail and road. And you may have seen some of my other videos up here that are shot with my Garmin VIRB. It's my recently acquired. I got it as a present, and we needed a new camera to use. And so we got a Garmin VIRB. I weighed it out against the GoPro 5 that's out there, and this is it. So this is the GoPro VIRB Ultra 30. It is a small sports camera. It does have, you're going to see your reflection in that. It does have an LED screen on the back side of it, which is right there. I think I haven't charged the battery on it recently since the last time I used it. So, but it comes in a small package. It fits in this case here, which is a waterproof case. I keep it in this most of the time, but this is how big it is. So, Energizer battery. There's a good comparison. So, it's small, about the same height actually as a Energizer battery, and about 1.5 Energizer, 1.25 Energizer batteries worth. And then you can look up all these specs professionally out there, and that's about how thick it is. So not bad. I'm gonna flip out the battery while I'm talking to you about it. So we purchased this to replace our last camera, which was an Olympus waterproof camera. We took it to Disney World last time we went, and we used it quite a bit. I ended up accidentally dropping the power brick to my laptop on it, which caused it to crack the screen and make it not waterproof anymore. So we needed to find something else that we could take with us. Plus, it was not fun running with the Olympus. It wasn't huge. It wasn't really heavy. It was just awkward. And then getting it in and out and in and out of my packet didn't help things at all. So this is what we purchased. There is the screen. Hi, you can see it on there. It is a touch screen. It works through the case, which is awesome. It even works with wet fingers, which I've had happen a couple of times during wet, rainy time when I'm running outside. It does have various features. You can check out some of the other reviews online. There are people that do much better, obviously, at reviews than I do that have reviewed it. One of the people that I used and depended on for my decision to purchase this item was DC Rainmaker. He does great reviews on technology used for sports, including watches, sports cameras, various sensors for sports. So check him out. I talked to him a lot about this prior to buying it and prior to buying what else is in this case. So we bought the VIRB online. Got a really good deal on it. It came with a bunch of straps and harnesses and stuff and mounts, which I have in a box here. Cleaning kits, mounts. So their mounts are a little bit different than a GoPro mount. So they have the same type of thread and the same form. So it's a GoPro type connector here. The nut on the inside is a captured nut. I don't know if you can tell. We get it to focus on that. But the nut right here is captured so that when you unscrew this screw, it doesn't fall out, which is fantastic. It doesn't get lost. But the way these work is it looks like a little, I don't know what design that would be, Starfighter? A TIE Fighter? TIE Fighter? But this just slides into there, and then you use this little lever here to lock it down. So it slides over, locks it down, and that's not coming out. So that's how they came. I got a bunch of extra mounts because I bought it from a different company, and they included this box here and some additional cleaning items and cords and cables and some stuff that I probably won't ever use, but it's good to have them anyway. So that came with this case. This case it's a soft, hard case, I guess. It's not really great at protecting, and I couldn't fit the camera and a selfie stick and batteries and the straps and everything all in that case and protect it, especially if I was going to throw this into my backpack and take this on a plane with me or take it out running with me. I was a little worried about it getting crushed. So this one is now my straps and extra mounts case. It'll stay here at the house unless I'm going somewhere. But what I got instead is I looked out there to find something that would work and found this. This is the Pelican 1085 case. It was for an Apple laptop. If you look at it, there's the handle on it. That's what it looks like. It's all plastic all the way around. The front of it has two little latch areas where you can put a lock if you'd like, and that'll lock that top down so that somebody can't open it. I'm not really worried about that currently. I have made this my own by putting my stickers on the outside of it, so don't mind them. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up. The latch just pops open like that. It's like a briefcase, and we're going to take a look. So let's focus down. So this is my current setup. Bring you a little closer. See if I can get a little bit closer in a better picture. All right, so looking at what's here, this case has a egg crate type lining on the top of it, and underneath that is where I keep my extra memory sticks and my screen wipes and the manuals for the VIRB, and also the other item that's in here. So right here is the VIRB. I went ahead and took out the pick and pluck foam that's in here and pulled that out. I've got my cables for charging that, as well as my battery charger, and the batteries go right there. And coming down here, I've got, this is a memory stick reader adapter for computer, my associated cables to help keep things in my wrist, my floating handle, and then this is my new piece of wear here. This is what I've been using to film with. Let me pull it out here and get you focused back up. Don't mind the jingling in the background, it's just the dogs. So, this is a Feiyu G5, it's a G5 gimbal, Feiyu G5 gimbal. So that's what it looks like. Here's the end of it, and I'm gonna slowly go across it here for you. So I was looking all over the internet trying to scour where I could find a gimbal to go with a VIRB. Now the VIRB is not as popular with people, so it's hard finding something that is going to work for the VIRB and also be pretty water resistant for my races. I'm done with that case. I'm just going to move on to the gimbal now. And so I looked all over the place, watched some short videos that were on YouTube. There's not a whole lot out there on what's available for this. So I went on and checked out what was available, and this is what I came to. This is their newest release. It is a splash-proof gimbal. It has a rubberized texture coating on the outside of it. The battery is an 8-hour battery. It screws in down here. Sorry. It screws in down here. This is what the battery looks like. And it goes in. It's an 8-hour battery, and I have so far tested that, and it has only needed to be recharged once in all of my filming pursuits. So screw that back on. So we have that. You have your 3 buttons here. This one at the bottom here is your selfie mode button. The middle one is your function button that cycles between a locked position, which keeps the gimbal pointed in one direction, a pan version, which will, if you move it, it will pan slowly to your new position. It will also allow it to turn around and do a selfie, and a reset button, so it'll help reset it back to where it began. And this is your joystick for controlling the gimbal up and down. Now, while I'm mounting the VIRB in here, they do have an app for this and for the VIRB. The app allows you to control all of those same settings with your phone. And so you could mount the gimbal on a tripod and then use the app to control it, to track you if you were running by it. So I may try that in the future. I don't have a really great tripod except the one that I'm using right now to film this, and it's just one of those flexi tripods. It may or may not work fantastically for that use. So the VIRB goes into the cradle that's on this, and the cradle is just a U-shaped cradle. It tightens down with these 2 captured screws. There's one there and one there. Okay. Up on top of the VIRB is this is your power button here, so it makes it a little hard to get to depending on where you put this screw. So you got to be careful where you want to put it, because it may block you from pushing buttons on top. Okay, so that's one of the things I've noticed. I tend to use the voice commands with the VIRB when I'm running and using the gimbal, and that way I'm not trying to fiddle with touching the screen while I'm running and it throwing the gimbal off whack. I'm also not trying to push the button on the top and it getting in the way. So when you push and hold the function button, it goes green, and then the gimbal fires up. So right now it's on pan mode. If you notice, it slowly pans to where it's supposed to be. So, and then this is the locked mode. I just push the button once, and if you notice, no matter how much I turn the handle or raise it up and down, it stays gimbal locked in the center there. So that is what it looks like. I don't have it perfectly balanced. As you can tell, it's a little bit crooked. So I need to go in and rebalance that. I just put it in quickly so that you guys can see what it looks like. So the joystick on the back here controls all around movement, so you can spin it. You can also take it around the outside. Back to where you began. Now, the selfie mode button, the button that's on the bottom here, is it just makes it turn towards you, and then you can do 1, 2, 3. That's the reset, and the selfie mode button, so it just turns around, high, and back. And then it spins back around. But this is all Bluetooth enabled. The way I'm using this setup is I have connected my VIRB to my 235, and it has a remote start. So as soon as I start running, it starts videoing, or starts the video recording function on the camera. I already have the gimbal set up ready to go, and I go run. And then when I stop, my watch tells the camera to stop, and then it stops. So sometimes I switch it out, and I will use the buttons that are on the back side of the screen, or I will tell it, okay, Garmin, start recording, which is a great function, except when it's windy. The wind tends to block that out, so you have to be very deliberate and very loud if you're trying to get it to control that. So this is what my current running setup is. I have had some concerns that this, when it gets, when your hand gets a little sweaty, can start to slide a little bit. So I was worried about that, looked out online, and I went to eBay and found these. They are screw-in camera mounts with a ring on it, and then I just put a wrist lanyard on it. Now the G5 has two spots that you can screw in mounts and tripods. One of them is here on the back side. This is where the remote functions are, and there's a place where you can screw that in. So you can take and put that in there, and then it will provide a place for you to hold on to it like that. Or you can take and put it on the bottom. There is a spot down here where you can mount an extension pole. You can mount a tripod if you wanted to just set it on the tripod like I talked about earlier. But I found that is actually the best place to mount this. It looks like it's all one piece now, and then you can put your wrist through the strap, tighten it up, and you don't have to worry about it falling when you're running. So this does very, very well on controlling vibration from my hand as I'm running, and it is really nice that it does that. There is some limitations on this thing. So as you notice, it does lean a little bit. Sometimes you got to mess around with it until you get the perfect balance because it's made for GoPros and other sports cameras. So I've got currently the heavy weight on the outside of this, and then I just mess with the balance a little bit to get it to balance fine. And once it's balanced, it locks in very, very well. But the reason I have the heavier counterweight on there is because the other issue I was running into is as soon as you turn the camera off, the gimbal goes floppy because there's nothing controlling the motors to keep it balanced. And so I wanted to make sure that my expensive camera wasn't slamming into this metal chunk down here underneath it with the screen and going to cause a breaking of either my lens or the LED screen on the back side. And so I decided if I put this heavier weight, counterweight on the outside, it actually still works fine with keeping it level. But as soon as I turn it off, it doesn't smack. The weight goes to the bottom and it stays there. So it keeps it from smacking into it. The other issue that I've found on this is that if there is some limitation because of how far out the VIRB sticks compared to what a Garmin or a GoPro Hero 5 would, you tend to come over to the side. Let's see if I can do this. And right there, you strike into this mount here with the bottom of the gimbal, which you can be careful and make sure to miss it, but you gotta be paying very close attention because you will end up smacking it while you're running, and then you get a straight thud in your audio track as you're trying to run or do whatever, and then you have thudding going on. So if you're careful, you can still miss it. You can go out to the side. The side will be fine. You don't have any contact. It's just a very small gap there with the extra weight on. You can go over the top, to the side, underneath. It's just when you try to go to the outside, the camera side, that it runs into problems and you bump it. So just pay attention to that if you are using a VIRB with the G5. So I recommend this. The reason I went and got this is because Garmin tends to run with Garmin very well. You don't have complications in that. And so your watch will work with it, regardless of what type of Garmin it is. If you have a Garmin that has a Connect IQ app in it, it will control your VIRB very, very well and automatically. The VIRB also has Bluetooth enabled, so if you are running with Bluetooth headphones and you want to talk into the camera, you can. It'll pick that up as soon as you connect Bluetooth headphones to your Garmin VIRB. It'll be crystal clear coming through because it'll run from your headphones, which is a very nice feature. Also, the Garmin VIRB can go straight to YouTube Live as a streaming device, which is helpful. So you can do that if you do a lot of YouTube stuff. You can use it to do that. The Garmin app is a little bit dated and slower. I think they're doing some improvements to it. You're probably going to want to use something like Final Cut Pro or something along those lines to do editing of your video. The Garmin app for VIRB allows you to download a lot of the metrics that are involved. Again, if you want more stuff on this camera, check out other reviews on YouTube. They do a much better job than I will. I'm just telling you my layman's versions of stuff that I run into. But I've used other editing software because their software is meant for more of a download and to do some metrics and plug some metrics in so that you have those while when you pop everything back up. So it is really helpful. Sometimes you got to do two-step to get it done, but it works. I highly recommend buying extra batteries. The batteries in these, the camera, not the gimbal, last, depending on how high of a frame rate you're shooting. If you're shooting 4K, it's not going to last very long. I usually do 1080p and can usually get probably about 30 minutes in, maybe 45 minutes, an hour, just depending on what all I have going on. If I turn off the GPS that is in the Garmin, as well as Bluetooth and the various lights and stuff, you can stretch that out a little farther. So it just depends on how well you how well you make it work for you. I do recommend extra batteries. I got a dual battery charger for $20 with 2 batteries that work just fine. They have the same life as the Garmin battery that came with it. I recommend getting a gimbal. If you are doing any shooting whatsoever, get a gimbal. These run about, I picked mine up on eBay from a seller for about $200. You can get these ranging in price. They usually run about $300. $299 is what I've found them elsewhere. And they're worth it. They make your videos so much smoother. I have shot various videos trying to record my runs, and it makes people sick, especially me, when you're watching the video and all it's doing is bouncing up and down. So I highly recommend getting a gimbal if you're doing any action sports. Figure out, you can mount this laying down on your handlebars on your bike. You can mount it on a backpack. You can mount it all different ways. And with it being so splash proof and water resistant, you don't have to worry about it as much. Now, the thing with the VIRB is in the way that it is configured, it's not very protected without the case on it. So be aware that if it is raining, you might not want to use the VIRB in this format. If it's just sprinkling, you may be able to get away with it. But if it was doing any heavy rain or anything like that, I would definitely protect the VIRB by using this case. Now, you can't use this case with this gimbal. It doesn't work that way. It is very small tolerance on this. Let's see if I can get you to show it. So if you tried to plug this in on there, it's not going to work. It's too thick to fit in that gap and in that holster. So just be aware that this is probably a fair weather / just maybe a little sprinkle, unless you came up with some other way, maybe a Ziploc bag over the top of it until you're ready to film or something along those lines. So I recommend the G5. It is a nice gimbal. Does a good job of making my videos a lot smoother. Not this one, because this one is on my iPhone. But I recommend also getting something to leash it with. These ones that I bought on eBay, they were $7 for a bag of 6 of these eyelets, and then it came with 2 wrist straps, and it came with 2 neck lanyards. So when we go to Disney World, we can plug those in to that, and we don't have to worry about dropping this thing just because we get bumped or something along those lines. So once again, I recommend this case for, sorry, don't mind the paperwork over here and my shoes over there, which I'm going to review later. This case works fantastic. I had to look around for something that would take the height and width of a VIRB and of the gimbal, and this one solves those problems. It also will still allow it to fit into my backpack, so when I go on a plane ride or a car ride, it only takes up the space of a small laptop in my backpack. So I can also plug in my, not plug in, but I can also carry my laptop in my backpack along with this on flights and on trips and car trips, and not have to worry about taking up too much space and carrying a big bulky bag or having a case that is not going to protect my equipment. So this is valuable equipment, and once it gets jostled around, it doesn't do very well. So this works really well on securing all of that stuff. The pluck foam is fantastic for protecting and customizing the case. That's what it looks like when it's in the case. And it's just pluck foam. It's already cut into squares, so it's easy to just kind of trace. What I did was took some toothpicks and traced out my individual items, and then I went in with a razor blade and cut the foam so it would be nice and smooth. And I've got some extra room there to put in some other items later if I acquire some more stuff, and you can always buy replacement foam. But it closes nice and tight. It does have a rubber gasket around the outside of it that keeps it from getting wet. It also has down at the bottom, I don't know if you can see that down there, there is a purge valve that will protect it from pressure changes. And so that is my solution for when I go and shoot and keeping my stuff safe. So my other videos that you may see or you may want to see on my playlist, and ones that will be coming up, were all done on my Garmin VIRB and edited with usually iMovie or something along those lines. I've done a couple with my iPhone that I'm using. It's an iPhone 7, just regular size, with using iMovie to do that. And it is on my it's a Joby. Let's see if I can get it there. Sorry, didn't mean to make you dizzy by doing that. But it's on a Joby mount here. And these are really nice because it's metal. I looked around and found a bunch of plastic ones, but this one is actually metal, and it slides down and locks. You can also rotate it within there to hold your phone, and then the bottom part of it here also, here are the levers, they also tilt too. And then that is all mounted on my XS series mount. It's got foam legs. I picked this up at Target for like 20 bucks. The Joby mount I got for a steal online. I will not tell you how much because I got a really good deal on it and nobody else could find a deal. Those usually run about 20-30 bucks for just this top black portion. So the whole thing cost me about 30 bucks, and the whole thing, if you bought them new for yourself, would probably cost you about $40 to $60. So I highly recommend that setup if you're doing filming. Sorry, don't mean to put my hand in your way. If you're doing filming on your phone, it's a good way to do it. These I've taken my phone running with me in this setup, and it is very secure. I never once worried about my phone falling out and getting broken. The mount on it is fantastic, so yeah, I don't have to worry about that either. But I figured I would do a review on this. Highly recommend the VIRB with the G5. Put in a Pelican case, the 1085 Pelican case. It works, protects it, and it's safe, and it's a very fantastic piece of equipment. And recommend the Joby mount. You can use the Joby mount on anything now. But it is a perfect mount for doing videoing with any size, pretty much any size phone. Use it for work a lot. So check them out. Check out DC Rainmaker if you want some other reviews on some stuff. I will be doing some reviews in the future on my favorite shoes. I did a review on the X Trail, or not the X Trail, the V Trail shoes that I purchased. I'm going to do some reviews on these next. These are my Sias. I have about 4 pairs of these. I will prove that I have 2 currently, and I've got a pair on my feet. These are what I'm going to be running the Walt Disney World Marathon weekend in. So I'm going to do some reviews on those. They are discontinuing them. And so I like them a lot. They're really nice and light, and they're great for running in because of that function. And so I'm going to do some reviews on them so that you can see what they're like. Check out my other reviews. Check out some of my run videos, but I will continue to put out more. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I will do some more reviews. If you know something or you see something that you want reviewed, let me know. I may have it. I may be able to get a chance to do a review on it, and that way you can I can tell you what I think of it. And I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. It's about 30 minutes long. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. Please give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Leave me a comment down below, and I look forward to doing some more reviews in the future for you. Thanks. Have a good one.